Poor little Reggie. The thunderstorms.
Okay, we're live. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Let's call to order the meeting of the Senior Liaison Committee for Monday, August 24th. First item on the agenda is public comments. And I checked just before, I don't believe there was anybody in the queue for public comments. So we'll move on to approval of the June's meeting minutes.
Excuse me, there was somebody that sent a letter in that wanted it read. Are we going to do that at some other point?
I did not receive anybody's letter.
I think we got it at the an email at our town email. John, did you receive it?
Good evening. There was nothing sent to the public meetings general inbox.
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to John Mayer. I'm sorry. We got an email, I think last week, maybe Thursday, Friday. We got an email at our town email, and the person asked that we read it into the record.
Received something Friday at 2:37 from Karen Plaza.
Okay. I did not receive anything via email, and I got a text a minute ago from Ed that I guess my email address on the town email was incorrect that she sent it to. So I have not seen the letter. But if somebody wants, if it's appropriate that someone reads it in, that's fine.
John, do you have a copy of it, or John Mayer, or do you want?
I have a copy. Do you want it to become part of the minutes?
If that was the request to be read in, then we should, we can honor that request.
Okay. It just says, would someone read my comments into the meeting on Monday? Thank you. And it's from Karen Plaza, Gilbert Avenue, Rocky Hill, Connecticut. First, I want to quote Albert Einstein: insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That is exactly what is being done in planning for the future of our new, beautiful center. I believe we need a different approach and a new creative leadership. We need a committee of 3 to 5 fresh new people to research programming and activities being offered by other successful centers. In fact, Tom Carey, who's the architect with QAM, at a town council meeting offered to give the town names of new centers that have successively opened to their residents. Has anyone contacted him? And if not contacted, why not? Most importantly, this committee must be made up with people who support our new center. You cannot have people, you cannot have people setting up programs / activities who were not in favor of this new center. They also should provide a bi-weekly written report of their accomplishments, who they spoke to, etc., to the Senior Liaison Committee. Last year, 3 people who supported the center offered to help Denise. So far, no one has been contacted. In fact, Denise is meeting with others who have opposed this center. One in particular vehemently opposing the center in print. That is so wrong and will lead to disaster. I have a problem with the people setting up program activities having no prior experience in creating new, exciting programming for the senior centers. We are asking taxpayers to pay for something that is the same old, same old. Example, Craig Bowman has set up great programming for Parks and Rec. He is ambitious and creative and his department shows it. He has initiated programs like drive-in movies, UFO Frisbee nights, etc. during the shutdown. This is the type of person Rocky Hill needs for our new center, especially now. The senior staff are nice people, but they are not experienced in creating new, exciting programming. Their educational backgrounds are not for running and creating an atmosphere where younger seniors will want to come. They do a fine job with maintaining the status quo, but not inspiring new programming. Their latest survey shows that, with the exception of the clubs and adding silver sneakers, everything is basically the same as currently provided. And speaking of the clubs, just what is Club 55? And Denise, be very specific, no generalities. To help prove my point that we need more creative leadership in the center, I was astonished in early May when I checked to see what our surrounding towns were offering. Without dropping the ball, those surrounding centers continue to provide activities and programs via Zoom, YouTube, and local access TV programming. Exercise program, guest speakers, plays, etc. All this senior liaison committee needs to do is go online to a town, parentheses, West Hartford, Elmwood, Weathersfield, Glastonbury, Newington, East Hartford, and Cromwell, close parentheses, and check their senior department bulletins, and you can see they did not drop the ball at the very beginning of this shutdown. In fact, one center stated in the beginning, senior centers were in constant contact with all other towns in Connecticut, so they could help and assist each other with programming and how to get their programs out to the public. These towns stated they had found ways to continue most programming. Some towns reduced programming, and only a few provided no programming whatsoever. Guess where Rocky Hill fell? Although we do have the Pivotal, which contains monthly recycled information and the calendar National whatever day, that is the extent of information. With the cost of this new building, we desperately need creative leadership to open this new center. A person who is experienced and has an educational background in running successful senior centers for all ages. Think of this as a new canvas. We can develop programming that at least compares, if not surpasses, some programming provided by our surrounding towns. Parentheses, Elmwood, Weathersfield, and Glastonbury, close parentheses. Or we can continue on the path of unexpiring programming which this survey shows. Remember, we only have one chance to create a great first impression to our townspeople. We don't want a beautiful building, but no substance. Again, doing the same thing over and over will lead to a disaster and is insane. Karen Plaza, Gilbert Avenue, Rocky Hill, Connecticut.
Thank you, John.
Welcome.
I believe that's our only public comment then for this evening. And normally on public comments, it's really just a public comment read into the record. So we'll move forward to the June meeting minutes approval. Ed, I think you're silent.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the Senior Liaison Committee meeting of June 22nd.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor of?
Any discussion? Any discussion?
Oh, any discussion?
Uh,
Hearing none.
The adjournment noted in the minutes, the Councilor Thoreau made a motion to adjourn, and the motion was seconded by Sharma, not the chairman, Greenspan.
Okay, we'll note that change. Any further comments on our minutes? Okay, all those in favor of improving the minutes with the noted change?
Aye.
Aye, there's 3 approvals. Town manager's report on community senior center project, and then the beam signing, of course.
Yep. Well, the update on the community center is they've gone inside and they've been doing some interior demolition. They are waiting to, they are going to eventually prepare a slab to relocate the gazebo somewhere near the fire museum. The fiber optic cable will be laid over the next few days or next week or so, now that they have approval from all the necessary parties. They're expecting the steel to come on site. I believe it'd be this week. And once the foundation and the interior piers are completed and the existing roof drains are connected, they'll begin putting up the steel. Now there's a little holdup as an offshoot of that storm that we had a couple weeks ago, which Eversource came out before the storm hit to try to move the transformer that feeds the power into the library to a different location so that they can finish with the foundation for the new wing of the community center. And due to the storm, it's thrown off the schedule. So that's sort of been delayed, waiting for Eversource to get caught up with their storm damage cleanup, and eventually will come out hopefully in the coming week or two to finish moving the transformer over so that the library will get power and they can finish the foundation. We received the beam, the last beam last week, and I did send an email out to all the committees mentioning that and asking for help in notifying other people that would be interested in signing the beam as well. So we have out there by where the dumpster was before it got moved into the parking lot, where the beam is. We have a couple Sharpies as well as some Clorox wipes to wipe off the pen, the Sharpies, and so on. So the intention is it's available this week. They might have a tarp over it, so just pull down, take the tarp off, and then people can sign it. And when we get closer to starting to put up the steel and getting a date where this would be the final piece to be installed, we would notify people and would probably have a beam ceremony at that time, but it's probably at least a couple weeks away. But if anyone knows of people that may be interested in signing it, please notify them. I did send it to the council, PBC, as well as the design committee. And that's it for the community center.
John, do we still have a target completion date?
Oh, well, I think it's still like May or June of next year,
Okay,
but you don't know whether this COVID situation could have an effect in the supply chain where some of the materials may be delayed due to, manufacturing problems caused by the virus. But I think it's still shooting for May or June as of right now.
okay. And I would just ask that if you do find that you're notified of the delays, of course, keep us apprised so we share that information. Anybody else have questions for John on the Community Senior Center? No? Ed? No?
No,
All right. Senior Center staff update.
Missy, do you want to go or do you want me to go?
Nope, you go ahead, Denise.
Okay, what I've been working on is talking with different senior groups and making sure everybody's okay. Helping them navigate through the state programs because a lot of them are needing help with food stamps, getting on the Medicare Savings Program. So I have been doing it on the phone with them while I log on to the state site. Also, setting up with Silver Sneakers. One of our instructors, Nancy, just got certified. So she is going to be doing the Zoom Silver Sneakers starting in September. Tammy for line dancing, she's going to be starting up in October because she has a conflict in September. And her husband's going to record her classes so we can then throw it on to the channel 14, 16 to be that. I'm still waiting to hear from Martha to do a channel 16 program for the Tai Chi. Also Zumba, the instructor, she has come up with a new program, Zumba Grooves to Quarantine Moves. And I have right now a speaker coming in via Zoom, September 23rd at 1:00. It's the Urban Archaeologists, and it's an interactive program that he goes into different attics and he finds certain pieces of history. So, and then I'm waiting to hear back from Trinity Health. And that's about it right now. And Personal Euphoria is still doing their Zoom classes for everyone. So I'm done.
Thank you, Denise.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Denise? No,
no
seeing
questions at
none.
this time.
Nothing, Ed?
No,
Okay. New business, Dr. Perdesani's survey.
Yes, I provided a copy of Dr. Parasante's survey he sent out, I don't know what, Melissa, 2 years ago? And so on. And it was an actual mailing. He put together the survey with help with the meeting with the town staff. And it was mailed to all the residents in town based on a mailing list of those older than 55. Hopefully we had a high percentage of those. And again, we got back 783 responses. Very detailed, one offering many activities with various types of opinions, whether you attended or not attended and wouldn't be interested at all. So I believe this was sort of the foundation that we used moving forward to design and build the new community/senior center for that. So I wasn't sure whether people on the committee had this survey, so I was just providing a copy to all the committee members to look at it. Again, it's very detailed and gives, good opinions of many types of activities and opinions of the participants that did um, respond to the survey. So,
Questions regarding the survey?
This is not intended to be a current survey, though. This is just for background information, John?
well, it's background information, but it was, as I said, we had a high mailing. I believe we provided them a return postage paid envelope to send the surveys back. So there's quite a bit of, there was money spent to get this, and there's probably a lot of information in there that's useful going forward with the new community center.
But it is 3 years old, so that's not intended to be a current survey of what seniors we've got that have moved no longer with us, and as new seniors that are approaching senior age, so that those dynamics would change perhaps.
Perhaps, yeah.
A question for John. So the mailing went out and then the mailing came back, but did we share the results? The survey that you shared with us now is the first time I'm seeing it, but was this, how was this shared prior to tonight?
Well, Dr. Padasani came in and gave a presentation primarily relating to the survey and talking about senior centers and so on, more from an educational standpoint where.
To senior liaison?
Well, it would have been the senior liaison, but it was open to all seniors to attend. So he gave a presentation at the town council chambers, and it would have been shared with the town council as well.
I do remember him coming in and speaking to council. I just don't think we didn't have the survey in our handouts.
I think we had there was a report that we did have, but I'm not sure we actually saw the details of the survey. I'm not sure. But that,
Yeah, because Mimi, this report, I mean, it goes into a lot of recreational programming. I mean, there's two full pages of activities, and people were checking off whether they would attend. Rarely, sometimes, I mean, it's there's a lot of would they attend, getting at what they would attend and what they wouldn't attend. So maybe we should recirculate this survey result. It'd be a good starting point going forward. I mean, to know what people said.
Yeah, I think it's a starting point, but I think again, in 3.5, that was from April 2017, in 3.5 years, the senior population has changed. So I wouldn't just go by the results of that. If we wanted to send out a survey, or maybe, fix it up a little bit, change it and send that out as a survey to see what programmings we have. I mean, while we're talking about it, I appreciate that staff went ahead and did draft a survey, but my concerns with the survey is that it's really targets the people that already were, when I'm talking about attending, I'm talking about pre-COVID. Obviously, nobody's attending anything right now. And there's a lot of things missing from it. There's absolutely no music on it. It has going to theater, but not seniors producing theater things. No pottery, sculpting, photography. It does have some learning things on it, but a lot of things are left out. It has sign language, but no foreign languages, cooking programs, documentary films, lectures, discussions, comparative cultures, religion, comparative religion, history, accounting. besides line dancing, other forms of dancing. In the design committee, we made it very clear that we wanted fiber optics so that we could have streaming into all of the activity rooms. I know when I looked at Dr. Patasani's survey, and a lot of people have advanced degrees and stuff, and they're looking for college level classes perhaps to stream in or whatever. Also, that I think the lunch and learn is a good idea, but then again, I would expand on that programming as well. We should be reaching out to seniors, and if they know anybody that has particular skills or professions that would come in and do a 1 or 2 series, perhaps a chiropractor, a veterinarian, accountants, nutritionist, cultural things, travel logs, have the police come and teach self-defense for seniors, fire safety, CPR, and first aid. And there's not a lot of things for younger seniors, a lot of the sports. I mean, there are young seniors. I know I have a friend of mine that's late 50s. He plays soccer, maybe senior basketball, badminton, volleyball. Again, it's not for everybody, but there's people from probably 55 to 70, 75 that may want to do some of these things. And I'm not in any way suggesting that we cut any of the programming that is there now that the older seniors enjoy. Of course, we should keep that programming. And if they have new programs they're interested in, we should implement those as well. But I just have concerns that this doesn't reach the 5,700 people who are not currently attending the senior community center. And I just want to make sure that every senior, and I think our senior liaison committee is a pretty good run of people. We have not quite senior yet, a couple 3 years to go, speaks for the younger seniors. We have a senior a few years older that's a working senior, and we have a senior a few years older who is a retired senior. And so that's probably 2/3 of the senior population that we represent. And obviously we would probably want to have somebody that represents the older seniors as well, that we have programming for everybody. And that's my concern. I also have concerns, the format. I think people's names should be on it, so we make sure that Rocky Hill seniors are responding, and one survey per senior. There's no end date. We don't know when people are supposed to file by. I understand we're hoping to get it in the rare reminder, or if we have to do a mailing or whatever, that it should be 30 days after everybody in town gets one. The pivotal is, again, a select group of people that know it exists. Let me see. I think, sorry, I have to make myself some notes here. There needs to be maybe directions on how to file if you have additional comments, because there's really no place on the survey to do that. So perhaps telling people to add a separate sheet so they can add additional ideas. Perhaps we should have a ballot box, because with the mail-in voting and so forth, the mail system is maybe clogged. So giving maybe 2 or 3 alternate ways that people could file, maybe something online, or if we can do, I don't know if we can do the form, fill it out online, and print a fillable form. I don't know if it's too complex. Fine, we don't have to do that, but ways that people can respond. And I just don't want to have the naysayers that were saying, oh, this is just a $10 million bingo hall. We don't want that impression. We want to have every room filled with exciting programming, and that all age seniors from 55 to 110, if we have anybody that age, are there and seeing things. So that's my concern.
I would note that 23.1% of the 783 that responded to the survey were favorably inclined to sculpture, as you were pointing out, wondering about sculpturing.
So Mimi, following up on what you're discussing, one of the things that kind of comes out is when you put a survey together, and this is just thinking off the top of my head with it, we're kind of narrowing the gap to programs people would be interested in, and which is fine. We did it. The data is 3 years old. But what about if we asked anybody that was interested from the senior community to send an email on the type of programming they may like to see, more specific, opening it up, and then taking that data and putting it together to see where we have the repeats. I think, and I may be wrong, but the majority of seniors are probably using email. There may be a handful that are not using technology. But I think we may getting only 700 responses is pretty low from a group of 5,000. And maybe, I don't want to overwhelm, Missy and Denise with emails, but that may be the way to find the programs we're looking for and gather some more info.
I'm open to any, I think we should have several means that some people don't want to mail because they don't want to leave their home. Again, if we have a ballot box, email, online, I think we can do several. We should do every possible means of reaching people so that we get hopefully more responses. Absolutely. And I think that's what we want, is people to say, what do you want? Here's some ideas that we have. What would you like?
Right. And I think it's an evolving piece, but we're at a point where the senior center is not complete. And I hate to be the pessimist, but we don't know when COVID is going to end and we could start doing the programming. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm one that didn't think we'd be sitting in this situation now. I thought it was a 2 to 3, maybe 1-2 month period, and we'd be back to normal. I really didn't envision the longevity of dealing with it.
I agree with you.
None of us did. I think we're just, this is all taking us aback. But I think, and we have some time to get as many, and we may even have to do a second round after we narrow down the types of programs that people want. And then that some of these might be either intergenerational and so forth. So I think I like your idea. I think we should explore as many means as possible to have people respond.
Right. And I think there's a second leg to this too, because, and this is not meant to put one department against another or anything else, but a lot of these programs we're talking about may fall, the more active programs will fall under the Parks program. And just because it came from the seniors doesn't mean Parks can't run a soccer program for 55-year-old adults, because they're still town residents that we're feeding into a program. It's not important of who owns the program, but we work together to get as many people actively involved as we can using our facilities. It is kind of how I would like to see some of that.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree.
And Mary, Craig, and I have already started a email that the intention is to meet to talk about that specifically, because I don't disagree with what anybody's saying, but things like volleyball and all of that would fall in the evenings, and that's more of a Parks and Rec thing than is a senior center thing. So the suggestions are all very good, but realistically, we're up against the hurdles that you have mentioned. So we are more than willing to take some of those suggestions, but it's also not realistic. I mean, we spent upwards of, I think, over $20,000 3 years ago to mail to all the residents with self-addressed envelopes. That's not in the budget for funding. So we can certainly do our best to be creative and get this out there so that we can get the returns. But we also can't send out another 3 or 4 page survey with every option in the world, because, town size, staffing wise, there's a lot of other hurdles that we're up against when we're just throwing out a cajillion. So we're open to anything that the town wants that's realistic, but we also have to look at the trends of things that have been filled, have been participated in, what the cost factor is, what the staffing needs would be. It's a bigger picture. So I think we do have time, and I think it's important we get it out there. So I'm more than willing, but it's not necessarily realistic to put out all of those options in one fell swoop with no identifying information with how we would conduct that, when we can open the center, and how that would be done.
Right.
Well, I'm thinking more, I'm throwing those out as suggestions that come off of my head. I'm thinking what Councilor Greenspan was saying is that if we have it more open-ended, that you tell us, what type of music, maybe have general topics, what additional things like the topics you have here, what additional things would you be interested in? So we could do it on a 1-pager. Are we not able to do it in the rare reminder, or?
I think they're open to the rare reminder. I think we can do that.
So even if it's a 1 or an
Hit or miss
emotion.
historically with other things that we have tried. So I don't know if Denise or John, you have any input on that, but I know that's been hit or miss. I'm not sure that we could do much more than what we have here as far as the reminder. I don't know that they're going to do a full page, but I can't speak for them. We can certainly try that.
I mean, what we can do is take this and, have the general categories
Yeah.
and say, here's a couple ideas we have. What other ideas do you have? So it would be on a page or half a page. Because I really
Some
want
of
to.
your suggestions, Mimi, are very good. I will tell you that when we sat down as a staff, we looked at 10 surrounding towns, web pages, their booklets of information, compared all of those. So I will be the first to tell you that my thought was when we had taken the original survey and talked about some of the sculpting classes, for instance, since that was brought up, that was my assumption, and perhaps that's where I went wrong. But in trying to narrow down, so we didn't have another 4-page suggestion, we were building an arts and craft room. So we were trying to look outside of the box for a little bit more specific things that were realistic to get back into place when we started reopening and started implementing, with the assumption that we would have to limit numbers of people. So I don't disagree with what you're saying, but some of that was assumption based on the fact that we did a lot of the design around that Dr. Partisani survey, which was, for instance, that example was the whole premise behind the art room with the specific tables where those activities could be done. So we didn't document that here, but I think in hindsight, that was our assumption, that those things were going to be put into place in the art room with art specific programming being run. So we were trying to look at other uses of space specifically, and we were talking more categories to avoid a very lengthy survey, because some of the feedback we did get from a couple of seniors were that they had filled out a comprehensive survey already and that we hadn't quite opened the center yet. So that was some of the feedback we got. I got it from 2 people stating that they did not want to continue to fill out multiple surveys until things were put into place. But we have to look at the mass. And so those suggestions are good ones, and we'll have to see what we can do to get it out. I don't think it's realistic to mail it just because of the money factor involved, but certainly, could we maybe deliver some, put piles around town, put a space for, if we put the space, maybe that you suggested for comments, they would have to get it back to us. Now, Human Services has a Dropbox, and the town hall as well. We can put one there. So that might be a way for people to drive by and drop off their survey.
Mimi, I noticed too that movies are at 29.9, 30%
Yep.
popularity, but no Monday Night Football, like you mentioned earlier.
I don't know that Monday
I think
Night
you were
Football.
you were a fan of getting together for football games.
Yeah, well, I am a big fan of that here in town, but and again, that's another great example, Ed. We, as a matter of fact, I just communicated with IT specifically regarding the funding for this project that is IT specific. And we did reiterate that we wanted speaker systems. We wanted the big screens to come down for streaming, for activities, for movies.
Surround sound?
So, I'm sorry?
For surround sound.
For surrounds, well, the interactive within the rooms so that we could do activities that have been requested. So those were not listed on the survey, but those are things that were very clearly stated that were wanted by seniors, and the design was around that, i.e. the large room with the theater seating, the screens that came down, the ability to stream from the internet and have interactive. Those are all things that are put into place and are underway for those.
Do we have hearing challenges for those types of events?
I don't know if we will in the new rooms. I know we talked about those walls that, would cut down on some of the noise, but that was some of the thought with the speaker systems that would be linked throughout the room so that we could adapt, we could spread people out, we could have anybody who was in the senior center that was interested in participating, even if they weren't in that room, as we took some of the feedback about some of the meeting times overlapping. So all of that we have been communicating and incorporated with IT as well. So that wasn't listed here, but I think we operated as a department with this off the fact that those things that were stated and we designed the center around were absolutely a part of the infrastructure of this entire design and going to be implemented.
Can we then put something on the website and encourage people here, and perhaps even just put a memo or something in the next pivotal that goes out, whatever, and just having people by the, let's say if it goes out for the, because it's almost September, so let's say rather than having this particular survey, just go in and say, if you have ideas of programming that you are interested in, email them to you or to Denise or to the senior liaison or to all of us. I don't care who they send it to, so that we can look at it. Because some of the programs that are in Dr. Padasani's survey are not on this particular thing. And just see, people, what do you want? What do you have interest in? And if you're seeing that there's several that want music programs, well, let's look into the type of music programs we could get. A lot of people want whatever it is, you know, lectures or whatever. We try to go out and do those. Maybe that, with that, you know, that'll cut down on cost if we allow people an opportunity to do that. And everybody who's listening and everybody who comes in for a program, we tell them, fill it out. And that's for anybody 55 up to 110.
So you're suggesting, just because I'm just trying to clarify, Mimi, because I don't disagree, but that Denise's email and phone number asking for suggestions is on this. So what is it that you think would be more effective to clarify that?
I think, but it's kind of up in the verbiage up there. I think we just say, you know, we want to solicit ideas that you have, and maybe put the categories, health and well-being, and have the categories, but instead of the programs that you have, what do you want for programs under those categories?
So more of a fill in the blank sort of setup? Okay.
Maybe you can have a couple of the ideas that are there, but what else would you want? I just want to make sure that they're hitting everybody.
Yep. I mean, we can certainly give an example under each category, add some extra categories and do more of a fill in the blank. That's fine. I don't disagree. I don't want anybody unhappy. I mean, we're building a beautiful center and we're doing a lot of work to make sure that they're set up for any and all programs that could facilitate this in town. So I think we should optimize that.
Melissa, just one comment along those lines. You know, as we're sending out for general comments, we have a population in town that's very diverse in professionally as well as ethnically. We may have people in town willing to volunteer their time to present a program or get involved as a presenter.
Yes.
That may be something we don't even think about.
Right.
So it just may be a great question to ask if somebody was interested in volunteering to run a program. I don't know if there's any.
Yeah, I think Mimi was suggesting the same thing. And I think that's great. Actually, that makes our life easier and takes care of a lot of issues that we are up against. So I'm certainly more than willing to ask people to put out their talents. Rocky Hill.
Put that on the survey as well. Put that on the survey, as well. If you have a skill or
some of the seniors want to give back. I mean, I would imagine some of them are qualified to teach a program or to lecture or to be a panel. Maybe we should ask them to be a senior panel night, you know, and discuss current affairs or something. And I don't know, give them turn the table the other way, let them contribute back to the program.
And it just fosters a whole team approach that
Yeah.
we're asking multiple departments in town to work together. And we're also asking multiple residents that may be interested. Just because you're retired, you still have skills, you know,
Absolutely.
that some of us don't know anything about, and we could learn.
Right.
So I think that's valuable.
that could be in the fill in the blank for that too on that. So if we do that for September, perhaps that would.
I'll be happy to include that. And I'm sure, Denise, that you would be more than happy to fill slots and have help with that because it gets challenging for a variation of reasons. So
Sure.
You agree, Denise?
I agree.
Okay.
All right. I did skip item number 6 unintentionally. The senior task force update. I don't know if there has been
No,
any meetings.
there hasn't been, since we've been shut down.
Okay. And again, that may be another source of people providing some suggestions from, maybe they already have provided
Every
it.
member that's on there gets a newsletter.
Okay.
Okay, so they get either via email or mailed through the mail. So,
Okay, very good. I just didn't want to skip that and not
no,
add.
no.
I put my notes next to it and skipped the number.
Missy, do we, I was just, one second, do we want to still have people fill out this survey? Or we just want to have them, if they want to fill this out, they can, but also have the new version of it in September? Or how do you want to handle that? I'm assuming some people may have already submitted them, and we certainly should consider them.
I know I've got a low return on that. And then, so I can try and fit in both of them. You have a choice of filling this out or doing both of them.
And should we say like maybe September 30th or something like that, or September, if we should pick a date so people know when to file? I haven't filed mine yet because I didn't know an end date. So should we, say the end of September, have everything in by September 30th?
Would it be better shooting for the end of October by the time to prepare this second survey? Because
Better yet.
Denise, aren't you going to print soon?
I am at the end of the week. It goes out this week. I can't believe it's the end of August.
I know, flew by. Why don't we say the end of October then, and you can either respond to either, or even both if you want, if you filled out this one and then have some new ideas, fine. And if we want to hear whatever ideas are out there. Sure, let me say end of October.
All right.
Excellent. All right. Moving forward, I guess, after I went backwards, number 8, other. Anything that we did not include?
No, I
No.
don't have anything. Melissa or Denise?
No, I'm good.
Okay, seeing nothing under other, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.
Second that.
Second. Ed, discussions? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
I hate